They say that each night as the tides retreat, the breath of a creature echoes from the depths, its magic quietly seeping into the palace walls. Once upon a time, in a grand kingdom, there lived a king with only one child, a 10-year-old boy. His mother had passed away, and since then, sadness had wrapped the palace in silence. Nothing could bring a smile to the boy's face. One day a wise man said, "Find him a creature from the sea, a companion from another world. Maybe then his heart will heal." The vizier sent 2 clever servants to the shore. Right as the tide whispered secrets, a magical sea creature rose from the waves, its skin shining like pearls, its eyes full of stories. The king gave the creature to the boy, and with just one look the boy knew he wasn't alone anymore. For the sea creature, they poured golden bowls full of sweet syrup. It got its own home, its own world. Every morning, noon and night, the boy visited. Life had started to smell like mom again. But joy never stays too long. A beautiful woman entered the palace, the king's new wife, and from the start, her eyes were full of envy for the bond between the boy and the magical creature. Jealousy rooted deep in her heart. She ordered a servant to dig a pit and fill it with blades. But the sea creature didn't just sleep, it dreamed, and it saw. When poison touched the food, again the sea creature warned him. The boy fed a bite to a cat, and the cat went still. He didn't eat. The stepmother failed again. The stepmother changed her game. She faked illness and tricked the healer. And he said, only the heart and liver of the sea creature can cure her. They planned to kill the creature while the boy was away, but it whispered to him, "I'll scream 3 times. If you hear me, come. If not, goodbye." And the screams echoed in the boy's chest like war drums. The boy ran from school. Just as the blade neared the creature's neck, he arrived. He screamed, he cried, but the king had already made his decision. The boy begged for one last ride, dressed in gold, sword on his side, a crown on his head, a ride around the garden just like in his dreams. On the 7th lap, before any sword could fall, the creature rose into the air, soared over the garden wall, and took the boy with it, forever. They became legend, and those left behind just stared at the sky, silent and stunned. In the middle of a deep blue sea, a boy rides a sea creature cutting through the waves. He travels far, maybe 30 or 40 leagues, without stopping until he reaches a distant desert city. Outside the city, he gets off. A young shepherd is grazing his sheep. The boy gives him money, buys the shepherd's waistcloth, and puts on the cloth. The sea creature whispers, "If one day you miss me or need my help, burn a strand of my hair." The boy takes the hair, says goodbye, and grabs his things. At the gate of a grand city, he finds a beautiful garden with clear water running through it. He knocks, no answer. Peeks in, big trees, green shade. He touches the water, makes it a bit muddy. Suddenly, the door opens. An old gardener comes out angry, but when he sees the boy's tired face, he softens. He lets him in with one rule: stay quiet, keep your head down, that's how you'll stay safe. The boy becomes the gardener's helper. Every evening, the king's 3 daughters walk in the garden. They sit by the stream, lay out rugs, and have tea. Each day, the gardener makes a bouquet for each of them. One day, the boy asks to make a bouquet for the youngest. The gardener agrees, a bit unsure. The boy makes a gorgeous one, with a fire-red flower in the center. The girls are amazed. From then on, he makes all the bouquets. Next day, the boy brings the flowers himself. He bows, offers the bouquets with respect, and steps back. The princesses are impressed by his politeness. Instead of silver, they each give him a gold coin. One day, the gardener goes to town. The princesses go hunting, but the youngest stays at the palace. The boy, missing his friend, burns a hair. The sea creature appears, dressed like a king with crown and sword. They ride around the garden 7 times. The boy swings the sword, lost in fantasy. He thinks no one sees him, but the youngest that watches from her window and falls in love. That evening, the princesses chat. The youngest hints at marriage. She sends 3 melons to the king, one bruised, one ripe, one fresh. The vizier understands. They want suitors. The next day, young men pass by the palace. Each princess holds a quince ready to choose. The eldest daughter chooses the first vizier's son, and the middle daughter picks the second vizier's son. But the youngest waits. Then she sees the gardener's boy. She turns her quince and throws it at his chest. The crowd goes silent. Everyone stares. How did this quiet, shabby boy steal the princess's heart? But love doesn't look with the eyes. The heart knows best. In the grand palace covered in mirrors, the king's angry voice echoed. Hurt and full of pride, he banished his youngest daughter to a mud-brick room near the gardener's yard. The grand palace doors shut behind her. Meanwhile, the city celebrated the weddings of her two sisters with music, lights and cheers that lasted 7 nights. But the king slowly sank into sadness. His bed turned cold with grief. He got sick from sorrow. Doctors came. They tried prayers and potions, but nothing worked. One day, a wise healer offered a strange cure, deer meat. But not just any meat. It had to be hunted by the king's sons-in-law and cooked by his daughters. The sons-in-law grabbed horses and bows and rode out. Among them was the gardener's son. People laughed at him. They gave him a lame horse and a broken bow. But the boy didn't count on the horse or the bow. He burned a strand of magical hair, and from the sand a sea creature appeared. He asked for a tent full of desert animals. A golden tent rose, inside a throne and the boy now wearing a royal crown. Behind him the desert bowed. The sons-in-law arrived. They wanted deer meat. The boy said, "Become my servants." He branded their arms and gave them the meat, but kept the heads. The meat was cooked and taken to the king, but he stayed weak, until the youngest daughter brought him the deer heads. At first he refused, but when he took a bite, strength returned. The boy burned the magic hair again. This time he asked for a palace of gold and silver, and it appeared, more glorious than any palace ever seen. News of the palace spread. The king came to see it. The boy welcomed him and gave him a ring and a rare pearl. The king asked what he wanted. The boy asked for his 2 servants back. The king was confused. Then he saw the marks on his sons-in-law's arms. The king fell to the ground in shock. When he opened his eyes, his youngest daughter was by his side. And then he knew this was her palace, and the boy was the gardener's son. The king, now full of pride and joy, ordered a celebration. The boy removed the servant marks. After 40 days, he returned to his own land, healed his father, punished his stepmother, and became king. 6 months in one kingdom, 6 months in the other.